Welcome, welcome, business owning moms, to my coveted maternity leave planning roadmap. I'm pulling back the curtain on the finances today, you guys. I think it's one of the most key things that I did to prep for my maternity leave that actually allowed my business to be better when I returned. And the reason I say this is because as if you guys know me and you've been following me for a while, you know that I believe that business owning maternity leave, like getting out of the weeds of your business and going and being with your family is one of the best forcing functions for the business to be better, for you to be a better leader, and for the business to actually support the life versus the other way around. So, a lot of what I talk about is operational. A lot about what I talk about is, working with your team and working with insurance and getting your systems ready and getting everything right and making sure that you've got really, really solid, infrastructure inside of the business. And finances are a huge piece of that. I have a mentor who always says that finances are like the fuel for the business, if you think of it like a plane. And so it's really, really interesting because then if we have this beautiful plane, we have no fuel to fly it, then unfortunately we can't really go anywhere, right? So if we think about our plane and we've spent the last several episodes, this is episode number 18 of my maternity leave roadmap takeover. We've spent 17 episodes talking about infrastructure in the business, talking about how to assess your time, how to work with your team, how to tell your clients, how to, set up your insurance and do all those things. And if you're in a position right now where you're expecting and you're looking to take some time off from the business, this financial exercise is going to really, really support you. So if you're not in front of your computer right now, I just highly recommend, sending this episode link to yourself, text it to yourself, whatever that looks like, and get into your office, get into a coffee shop, get in front of your computer, really take a look at these next couple of things and block some time to do this because it's so critical. And I want to tell you something really quick first. This is not easy. Trimming back your financial spending, redoing your financial picture, thinking about, cutting things or amplifying certain things, like making investments to support the business growth, it can be a really emotional time. And especially when you're expecting, or maybe you're trying to conceive and you're, kind of going through a little bit of emotional or identity shift around this. My opinion is do the exercise first on your own, like sit with the emotions and the feelings and the things. You don't have to make any decisions. Like you can start to kind of whiteboard out what this looks like and then invite a trusted advisor to support you. So this could be, your accountant. This could be your spouse. This could be a business partner or a mentor of yours. Have them support you and let them know like what some of the challenges were. Because when we do these types of things with our maternity leave clients, what ends up happening is a lot of the decisions that someone was maybe a little bit afraid to make or a little bit hesitant to make, they're sitting there in the back of their mind. And then when they sit down with us, or like when I get to take a look at their P&L, oh, Allie, I knew I wanted to do that, but I was scared, or I knew I really wanted to do that, but like, how does that look logistically? And so we can kind of help you, make some of those decisions, or your trusted advisor can help you make some of those decisions. So first and foremost, you will need your P&L. If you don't have a P&L, I would say run as fast as you can to try to get a really solid financial picture for yourself. When I was early on in business, I was doing my own books. And so my P&L was in a spreadsheet. I just took a look at everything I made, everything I spent, and then what I took home at the end of the day. It was just me and a contractor at the time. So, for the most part, it was just whatever I had in the bank was kind of mine to either reinvest into the business or take into the home. So it can be that simple for you. It can be really, really, complicated for some other businesses, depending on, if you are an employee, if you have a percentage share, or you have other stakeholders inside of the business. So just starting with your P&L, having it in front of you. I often find it's actually most helpful to print something like that out if you don't have it in a spreadsheet. So spreadsheets to me are like, okay, this is a task list or a to-do list. I can make comments, I can do all the stuff. But like right now, my P&L is in QuickBooks. And so when I pull my P&L, I actually print it out. And then I take a look at it and I'll just like earmark some stuff. And then I send it back over to my accountant and I'm like, hey, these are the things that for sure we need to cut. Like, can you go execute on this? So getting that out in front of you. First thing you're going to do is highlight the categories that you care to cut. And so the reason I say care to cut is because if you look at your P&L and you're like, actually, I don't really love this function of the business, or I really don't feel like this is bringing me joy. I think about that book by Marie Kondo, The Life-Changing Art of Tidying Up. This is like the very first thing that she does is she just like has you look at like your closet or a pile of stuff and she's like, if this doesn't bring me joy, like it has to go. And so I think this is a really important exercise. You don't have to cut it right now. Like I think I understand that things are really complicated. We just shut down a lot of programs at operations agency. And I'll tell you what, it's hard. It's really, really hard. And I had the idea like 6 months ago to start to phase out some of these projects. And we've worked with really great clients since then and have been working with really great clients for years and years that it kind of just took us some time to wind things down. So the reason I share this with you is because it will emotionally show you like where in the business you're feeling most stuck or you're feeling like you're hemorrhaging cash, but you're in a position where you don't even really like doing that thing. So that's super helpful. It could be a program, it could be a teammate that you're paying for, or something like that. So what I really want to think through is highlight those things. So emotionally, just having that go. And then first and foremost, we got kind of like 3 sections. So I use highlighters and pens and things like that. I'm a very visual person. So the items that we want to cut or make less expensive basically have 3 courses of action. So number one, we stop them all together. You can think of this like a failing marketing channel, right? If you're spending a ton on organic and video editors and social media managers and all of that stuff, and you're like, whoa, I don't get a ton of leads from organic. All of it comes from our paid Google ads or whatever. Maybe it's time to just like either shut that off or, think about just shutting it down for the time that you're on maternity leave, because whatever it is that you're spending on the organic stuff, it's not netting in new business for you. So, you could just keep that cash in the business and have it support your leave. The second is you can put an automation in place. So you can think about this. We had, for example, I had somebody supporting me with social media creation, like creation of graphics and all those things. AI has gotten pretty good at that. And I was kind of fixing them up anyway. So what I do is I create the topics and I write all of the social media content. And then I have AI take the first stab and then I go in and edit it. And I have templates and things for it. So like right now, it's not fully automated, but like we actually were able to take a resource internally in our team and that was previously dedicated to social media and then kind of move it somewhere else in the business. So you can actually take an automation and put it in place. The other thing that exists for sure that is true operationally speaking is like behind the scenes of the business. So not necessarily just like social media management or content creation. If you're like onboarding clients and that process isn't automated, that is definitely a place where you may be hemorrhaging time or cash. So this goes back to kind of that time audit that we did a couple of episodes ago. You want to make sure that you're putting automations in place to keep things consistent and so that you can kind of trim down the expenses inside of the business. And then third is you train a replacement to do it cheaper or faster. So this is a person on your team who can either take it over and do it cheaper than you can do it. We talked about this with, the time and can I afford to hire a person inside of my business? Really, really think about, okay, great. My business is paying me X amount of dollars, but I'm about to go on maternity leave. So like, could we take another resource internally or hire a VA or somebody to come in and I could train them on how to do this and they could do that while I'm out? You can save a lot of money that way because when you come back into the business, you are going to be earning again, your salary or, taking your distributions or whatever that looks like for you in terms of income. And you're going to have your full availability or at least a larger portion of it toward business growth or toward other things inside of the business that make a lot of sense now that this is offloaded. So this is probably one of the most difficult pieces of planning leave. I won't sugarcoat it. It's definitely hard. And I personally believe that after visiting with my P&L through both of my leaves, it was such an incredible forcing function that I do it once a quarter now so that I can take a look at, okay, we're overspending here, we're underspending here. This system's actually working really well. This system actually needs to be rethought. This person's role needs to be a little bit different. It's eating into our margins a little bit too much. And so it can help you have really intelligent conversations around how your business is operating currently. And then you can take, usually companies are like, if they're small and nimble, they're usually about 3 months away, maybe 6 from like a big, financial decision or a big operational decision really affecting day to day of the business. But if it's just you and a contractor, I mean, you're days away, weeks away, even from being able to make a decision like this inside of the business. And it immediately impacts, your bottom line and it immediately impacts what you're able to take home into the business. So I really challenge you to think through this because a lot of women think, well, I need to just sell a bunch of stuff before I go on maternity leave so that I have enough money to make it through. And that isn't always the case. Sometimes what needs to happen is we need to sit down with the money that the business already has And then we just need to increase those margins. Frankly, it's one of the biggest ROI producing activities that we currently lead inside of Master Maternity Leave. So have at it. I hope that you guys enjoy this process. I know that it's probably feeling a little bit like pulling hair out. However, it is super impactful and it can really help you with some more time and some more financial security and space to be able to snuggle your baby at home. I'll see you guys on the next episode.